Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. I wake up in the morning just like the rest, but today I wish I could grow some breasts. So I visit my doctor and they them told me, hey, no problem, I can give you a pussy. once again for Midnight's Edge After Dark. It's Tuesday. It's 6:15 on the Central Time Zone. Welcome. I'm Tom Connors. With me is 6, but there's only one 6.
It's 7:15 on the Eastern Time Zone.
Oh, you're in the Eastern Time Zone. That's right.
Yeah, I'm Eastern.
We also have with us from Canada, CC Karaoke.
Muted.
I'm totally muted.
Very quiet.
Hello there. That's what I said. I was drawing down the blinds as the sun was getting in my face.
That's never not funny.
Yeah, if you get too much sun in there, we won't be able to see your face, man. Like,
yeah.
You get all blown out. Also via Canada, but from Scotland originally, or where else? I don't know.
Dallas.
Sheep.
Places. Yes, the Highlands and all that.
Good evening. Potatoes.
Good potatoes. Good evening. And CC Karaoke and I are both in mountain time, where it is now 5:16 p.m.
It's because you guys are hanging out in the mountains.
We're almost neighbors. Give or take 100 miles.
Give or take 100 miles. See, in Canada, that's like nothing. That's like across the street.
That's, I mean, considering you can drive across the prairies for 3 days without seeing anybody.
Exactly.
We're practically neighbors.
Brian's in the nearest city to where I am.
See?
Yeah. Well, I'm near the nearest city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like,
about a 10-hour drive away.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well,
just something like that.
Yeah, but it's a scenic drive, but a drive nonetheless.
Oh yeah.
But, it's great to be here.
Yes,
in all our multivarious time zones. And what a wonderful song, Tom! An anthem for our ages, if I may say.
Well, it's safe for CMT. I figured they need some songs to play since, nothing's safe anymore with the Jason Aldean song and all that business.
But in order to make it a true modern country song, you have to have the very, very faintest pedal steel guitar in the background.
I don't have one, though. If anybody out there has one and wants to throw some steel guitar, I'm more than happy to have that.
That's what turns a pop song into a country song, is an extremely faint pedal steel guitar in the background.
Or a fiddle. Does somebody know how to play fiddle?
Or a fiddle, yes. And now that's country. That's
exactly. Country and Western.
Country and Western. Right? We have
both kinds of music.
Yeah. There's somewhere Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash are turning in their graves, but never mind. Not for your song.
Still one of the best jokes in a movie is the Blues Brothers when they do that, because that is every shit kicking bar ever. Yeah, we got both kinds of music here, country and Western. If you think of playing something else, we'll kill you.
If you give me 5 seconds, I'll play it for you. It's one of my clips I use in my show.
Yeah. Rolling.
I do have it here somewhere. Oh, well, I'll find it.
The Blues Brothers singing Stand By Your Man is still hilarious to this day. I don't care who you are. With all the acting out of the,
And the impassiveness as they do it, though.
And the guy crying at the bar and a whole bit. It's just, anyways.
Hang on. I got it.
Oh, you got it here, right here.
What kind of music do you usually have here?
Oh, we got both kinds. We got country and Western.
Country and Western.
I do love that. And I mean, the funny thing is I've been in so many bars like that in my life.
Exactly. But anyway, we got a few things to talk about. I don't know who else is going to show up yet, but we'll see. But I want to thank you all for joining us. Hit that like button, share out the stream, let everybody know we're live. As people file in here, we got a super chat from before the show. Your Muslim uncle sent in $1.99 and said, "Elf toys are available at Target and go." Actually, I already got mine a while ago.
Ooh, very nice.
I haven't opened it. I think I only got one. It's an
Elf. He can play with Elf, is what he's saying.
I'm trying to figure out what that bag is.
That's a nice one. That's his bag for his cats.
It's for his.
Well, it's got like green shit in it. It looks like weed.
Is it green popcorn?
No, the popcorn's right there.
No, all right. I don't make glasses.
I don't know if it's unless it's like pieces of his.
Perhaps it's Mexican Iron Man's vomit.
You got a sandwich though with Lucky in it.
Wow.
Like his tail's sticking out.
That's terrible.
Nice.
And he's in the sandwich. Yeah.
So everybody,
Here, lucky.
donate to the fund and send one to Mikey.
Mikey needs one.
Mikey needs thousands of them.
You know, hopefully by this time next week, you guys will see me on screen through most of the show, and I'll be in the new studio.
Oh, very nice.
What new
Nice.
studio?
Oh,
I
Lord.
didn't know about that. That's new.
The new studio is just the downstairs.
Oh, that's right. You're
Yeah.
moving.
Even
Moving
deeper in the
downstairs.
basement.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
So we're going to have...
The only Mexican Iron Man.
Arriba.
See flying through that window. He's the pride of Mexico. No lady can resist the magic of his kiss, the woo of his tongue. No man can resist the might of his fist. When he starts, you'll be gone, son. That's right.
That's right.
Here he comes. One, two,
One, two, three.
4. Mexican Iron Man. He's made from aluminum cans.
That's right.
He's flying through the
Mikey's
air. Whoa, catch him if you can.
That's right. No lady
can resist
the
magic in his kiss, the woo of his tongue. No man can resist the might of his
No.
fist. When it starts, I know you'll be done.
More.
Son, it's almost done.
Cut.
Holy free holy.
Olay!
Olay! Wow, what an intro. Jeez.
Ole
You
and
got
OB.
it, brother.
OB.
Nobody gets an intro like that but my Mexican Iron Man.
Wow. Thank you. Hi, everybody.
Look at how
Family.
clean he looks. He's shaved.
Mikey, what's it like
Look
to have
at
your own
that.
theme tune?
It's really, it's kind of, it's humbling. It's, look, honestly, it's very humbling. In fact, being on this Tuesday, Thursday show is a very humbling experience. I mean, everybody in the chat, the people that are in this live chat right now, I've seen these names here for years. I mean, MEAD, I remember discovering Tom when he dressed up for a fundraiser for Jay. Tom was in lipstick and a wig and for a fundraiser for Jay that Drunk 3PO was doing. And I said, God, that guy's really funny. And then I found Midnight's Edge, and then I actually found MEAD before Midnight's Edge. So I started listening to Tom, and if someone would have told me those many years ago that I'd be on a live stream with Tom and I'd be his buddy with, I just wouldn't believe it. You know, and I all these names that are in chat, I mean, most of these people have been here for 3-4 years. So hi everybody in the live chat. Thanks for having me. Hi. What are we talking about?
Welcome,
Oh my
my
God, we better
favorite
not be talking.
YouTuber.
We better not be talking about Barbie.
Please,
Dang it.
no. Yeah,
Um,
it's boring
yes.
now.
Welcome to the greatest YouTuber alive, Mexican Iron Man. That's right. He is the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
Thanks. I have a question. Can I throw the Canadians off the panel until they clean up the air in our country?
No shit.
Hey,
I
it's
can
our
run
major
that.
export now. We're not allowed to export anything else. so exporting,
Yeah.
we're
It's our
blowing
major export. now.
literally, we're blowing smoke up the Americans' ass.
Oh Lord.
That's
Oh,
literally
Lord.
what we're doing.
Dude, let me tell you how you guys are having an impact in my life. So get this. So my kid's mom, my kids coming here for summer vacation, right? My 10-year-old's coming for summer vacation. And my ex calls me up. She says, you know, the air is so bad up here in the Northeast that I'm thinking I should come down and spend some time with you for vacation. So I want to thank you Canadians for probably making that happen.
Well, we have another Canadian here, Script Doctor. So now it's 3 against 3.
The
Well,
bottom
Canada
line
bringing
is-
people together
Jesus.
since 1965.
Well, I think Brian's right. Smoke is your biggest export
It
in
is our
years since
biggest
maple
export.
syrup and bacon.
Well, with the
probably.
lockdowns, we haven't been able to export talent of any kind.
That's for sure.
Mhm.
And, you know, Biden didn't want to buy our oil.
Well,
That's right.
it's so
So
full of maple syrup.
That's what makes it smell so delicious. And you get more to the gallon because it takes longer to burn.
it makes me eat it.
And
I
if you're
go to
trapped in the
hospital.
frozen tundra, you can drink that oil to survive.
That's right.
And go blind.
And go blind.
Well, then you don't have to see the frozen tundra.
That's right. It's a tundra. I live near the well, not near it. Like Green Bay is still a few hours away, but that's the frozen tundra.
I got some right outside
Lambeau
the
Field.
window.
Yeah, you got one outside your window. So yeah, we're going to talk about a few things today. This was a fun one. I want to start off the show. This is not normally we'd save this for the end, but since Nick was unable to make it tonight, he's got family stuff going on. This is in honor of Nick. Chuck Norris delivers a top kick to CBS in Walker, Texas Ranger Profit Battle. That's right. Chuck Norris still kicking ass, kicked the shit out of CBS and said, hand me $30 million. And they're like, yes, sir, don't kill us.
Yeah. He said CBS seeing treble.
Yes. But
he's
setting a new standard for 90.
Great.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I have no idea what's going on.
Okay, well, evidently, more than 5 years ago, after Chuck Norris sued the network and the studio for more than $30 million over profits from 8 seasons plus of procedural, lawyers and spokespeople for both sides say the parties have resolved the dispute. CBS and Norris attorney John V. Berlinski are being as tight-lipped about the confidential settlement as the iconic Sergeant Cordial Walker himself. Norris pocketed a healthy sum in the end, I hear. So he didn't get the full $30 million, but he got a nice payday.
About like half of that, probably.
Yeah, Sony Pictures TV was originally the defendant in January 31st, 2018, filed breach of contract lawsuit, but the studio was dismissed from the matter last year, litigated through the darkest days of the pandemic and with arbitration. The initial complaint from Norris Top Kick Productions alleged that Sony and CBS engaged in self-dealing that cost Top Kick millions of dollars in past and future license fees. Now, there's another reason why I brought this up today, more than just the obvious. That right there is why I brought it up.
Yeah.
And why do you guys think I brought this up? I'm sure Script can figure it out. Maybe Mikey.
The self-dealing, basically the shell game of money transfer from one to
like
another.
like what Disney does. Script like what Disney does with Disney Plus when they
bingo.
Yep.
And then because they do that, then that jacks up the revenue that anybody could get, whether it's writers, producers, whoever, right?
It tries to hide it, but yes, that's what they're trying to do with that.
Yeah, so I think this is a precedent that's going to be set going forward for a lot of that. What Mikey and Script were hitting on, or specifically Mikey, with Disney saying that, let's say for instance, Little Mermaid's getting $100 million for the video on for Disney Plus licensing. That's literally Disney just paying themselves $100 million, right?
Yep.
So that, in a sense, is kind of what I would consider what's the word I'm looking here for, Mikey?
Vertical
Unfair
integration.
practice of sorts, maybe.
Well, it's not necessarily unfair. It's technically vertical integration.
But that's what they're winning here. They won here on the whole idea. The argument is that money was left on the table because Sony and CBS did self-dealing between the two of them.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think Script said shell game, which is
it's part of a shell game. But also, if you're doing self-dealing between them, you still have to include the properties involved in that. So if they did a self-deal and they just excluded Chuck Norris with regards to the rights that would be transferred with that self-deal, they would then have to legally owe him money because they're supposed to include him in that. Just like when, with regards to Disney licensing out their shows to Disney Plus, they have to pay the production of that show as well in regards to that licensing fee. And if Disney is circumventing that somehow through some sort of shell game, then the people, the parties that be on the creative side have every right to sue for proper compensation of that deal.
This is a true story here, Mike. Chuck Norris once played Russian roulette with a fully loaded gun and won. The gun.
Of course, he was the second one to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
The guy across from him pulled first.
Is there anything in this article about a lawyer's office mysteriously being blown up with a rocket launcher?
No, but I'm sure plenty of that happened in court. I mean, I got to admit, there's got to be a few round kicks that were thrown.
The man in fatigue seen running away. Yeah.
No, and I thought that was an interesting little story to kick things off with, a little funny story at the same time. It does have, I think, some precedent going forward. Mikey, like, what do you think going forward? Do you think this might be a problem for people like Disney and Warner Brothers with this kind of self-dealing with the streaming services and how they're doing this? Do you think this is going to be an issue with some of the creatives on the other side, not feeling like they're getting the amount they could be getting, say, if like Warner Brothers or Disney sold it to Netflix or Amazon or something like that?
Well, a lot of times people like aren't. I'm gonna embellish a little bit of what Script just said so people can understand how important this is. So let's say you worked. I'm just gonna use a totally different example, and Script, feel free to chime in. And
Sure.
I'm not gonna get this perfectly right, Script, but I'm just gonna try to draw an analogy for the people to understand what this kind of thing could mean. Let's say, for example, you're supposed to get royalties on the sale of something that you put together, whatever that thing is. Okay, and somehow the company that you're supposed to have a deal with, instead of paying you on every time that unit moves out and gets out into the marketplace, your compensation is missing when I sell it to myself through my own distribution channel. So let's just say that, maybe I'm selling it over here to some retailers and you're getting your royalties from that. But then I've decided to vertically integrate and have my own distribution, my own retail distribution. And then you, as the person who made that, whatever thing is that I'm selling, are axed out of getting any royalties. And it's not that we're talking about royalties in Hollywood, but essentially what we are is that what Chuck is doing is he's standing up for the fact that CBS as a studio did not ensure that all of the compensation that could otherwise be possible in his contract agreement was actually paid out as part of that contract agreement. And I think what this means is going forward is I think this is very fascinating that he actually won. I'm in shock that he did. This is news to me. And I hope that as we search for a new revenue model, that the books finally are open. It's a really interesting experience. I've really been thinking about streaming the last 2 or 3 days a lot. I've been working a lot. I've been working around the clock on this big project. And I've had a chance to kind of have different streaming, YouTube and Peacock, and I've been bouncing around lots of different streaming services that I have, and I subscribe to all of them except Disney Plus. But it's fascinating to me that whatever this new model is, because what we have to do is understand that whatever the new model is, wherever that revenue is going to come from, advertising and so forth, there's nothing on these platforms if not for the creatives, if not for the writers, the directors, and the talent that give us whatever it is that we find interesting and fascinating. There is no product for us, and I'm proud of Chuck. I'm in shock that he won because it's rare that these types of cases don't go in favor of the large corporations. So bravo.
Well, and oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brian. No, you go.
I was going to say, Mikey, the moment that CBS's lawyers knew they'd lost is when Chuck was able to divide that sum of money by 0. And they knew they'd lost.
I was gonna say there is a little bit of a precedent. I remember and Darth brought this up in the chat about Alan Alda. I can't remember who he had to sue specifically, but it was over the syndication rights over MASH because they were self-dealing too, and I can't remember if it was Fox or CBS or who it was that they had to sue over that whole deal, because I think doesn't CBS own the television rights? Script, correct me if I'm wrong, but Fox made the show, right? If I'm not mistaken, when it comes to MASH,
Studios might have made the show and was maybe distributed on it, because
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think you're right there. That's a little bit tricky because again, it's way.
It was years ago. Yeah, it was a while ago.
I haven't
Fox
gone back
made
to
the movie.
rewatch MASH in a while.
But the whole thing, from what I recall, was Fox made the movie and they made the show, but CBS is Coffin Nails is saying yes. So what happened was, since CBS had the show, they were sending it out to syndication for all their affiliates,
all the districts within the United States.
And they weren't paying the proper shit back, so it was like a self-dealing deal where and Alan Alda had to sue to get the rights, and I think he had to go through CBS, not Fox.
So maybe
Fox had very little to do with it.
I think I might know this case. CBS, they did it through syndication, but the syndicated networks were subsidiaries of CBS International, or
that's
CBS,
what I'm saying.
National,
Yes,
I think it was
exactly. Yes.
So that's because again, sometimes you have Fox 24. That's not really Fox. It's just one of the syndicate relays of what Fox does to broadcast Fox network and so forth. So that's what it was at that time. In this case here, I believe this lawsuit with regards to Sony and CBS had to do with their streaming platform, with streaming as well, right? They took it from the network's version, they applied it to streaming to parallel with the revival of Walker, Texas Ranger that the CW was doing, and they didn't include the original cast in any of their any of the contract for residuals from moving from one platform to another, which was part of any
Oh,
stipulation.
okay. Yeah, this is where it is right here. You're right, Script. This has to do with streaming rights, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, because that's the only way I could see it happening, because they were probably using a self-dealing model in the event that, oh, well, we have the rights to distribute this to
This is
any
back in
platform or
99.
whatever
Holy shit.
throughout the universe, whether it exists or not. And they assumed that streaming was probably a part of that. But what's interesting with the way studios do things as new media comes along, they introduce it as new technology, and sometimes the wording of those contracts does not coincide with the wording of the initial contract that the actors and talent signed with regards to media distribution.
Yeah, they
And
talk all about the things you just said here. Yep. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I don't even have the link to this, so I'm just going off.
No, I know. Yeah, it says some about vertical integration, and Rupert Murdoch commented on it. The company was involved with this, suing over X-Files. Then they get into Bochco.
So
yeah, I remember when all this happened. This is
really
Christ, this is a long
great.
time ago.
This is very good for the industry, because what the courts are doing is they're setting a precedent with regards to how the distribution model should go for basically royalties, rights, and resale. Let me see if I can.
I think Mikey made
since the media giants are loath to have their inner workings of their deals laid out in courts papers, some of the suits have been quietly settled. Days before Duchovny's suit in August, Fox settled. Okay, so it was Fox that Alan Alda had to sue.
Okay.
Hawkeye of Flash, alleging that the self-dealing had reduced his profits from that series. In Disney, and in April of '99, Disney also settled with Wind Dancer, which owned Home Improvement. Yeah, I remember when all this shit went down. Yeah, this is the early days. This is back in '99, guys. Holy shit!
I think
this is part of the internet web distribution as well. Was also part of the stuff. This was
timely.
The warning.
Do you want this link?
Yeah, I love this link. Actually,
sure.
Mikey made a great point about the openness. We've always known that Hollywood is a huge, opaque morass of, shell companies and double dealing and, money avoid paying money. Whatever the shenanigans are, they've used every single one of the trick in the book. And I think got away with a lot that other corporations may not have got away with.
Well, and it's because they know how to deal underneath the table. And Mikey knows a lot about this from probably his days of working over there. It's how they get out of paying people back end deals. And like I said, my favorite thing is it all depends on who's asking is how much they'll tell you if a movie, because if it's the media or whatever, then it's the most successful movie of all times. If it's somebody they could possibly owe money to, it didn't make any money. In fact, it lost money.
Yeah,
it was our biggest flop of all time.
Don't tell anyone. The stock market really depends on us.
We're making a fourth one, but don't tell nobody.
Well, if you want another deal, don't tell anybody. Yeah, and at least Chuck doesn't care anymore. I mean, he's in his 80s. He doesn't care about deals.
That's for his estate too. Like that's the other part. It's for his kids and grandkids and everything of that nature. And he also has stake in the game when it came to the CW revival of the show. He gets some money from that.
Well, they put their head above the parapet by doing that.
Yes, they did.
And it's like, oh, okay, here we go. So good for him. I wonder how many lawyers they had to roundhouse kick to get through that one.
Okay, go ahead and say something, Mike. Mike was having some issues there.
The brown hawk flies over the white eagle's nest.
White eagle's nest settles in.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. We're good so far. You were just getting it was just like a weird noise that would come in every once in a while, but we'll see if it comes back at all. But yeah, thanks for the listener who sent me that story, and I passed it on to Script. And yeah, I don't know if you were being able to pay attention there, Mike, during that whole thing, but that was a interesting trip down memory lane. But yeah, speaking of memory lane, who here is an Exorcist fan?
Certainly of the novel and the original movie. Yes,
we're going to talk about that in a minute.
I've seen the movie a few times. It's not something I always go back to just because it's very vivid and holds up really well. And sometimes I need to recover afterwards because it's got
that fantastic gothic feel to it.
Yeah. Oh, and the music alone is just iconic.
Well, I'm an enormous Mike Oldfield fan, and they used Tubular Bells. They adapted it for that movie, and it's nice.
Yeah. Have you heard the latest version of Tubular Bells? Because he keeps on bringing out a new one every few years.
You want to know why that is? Because in his head,
it's never perfect.
It's never what he hears in his head, so he keeps trying again and again and again.
To be fair, he's done it with many of his other pieces, like Omadon. He keeps reworking them, and he'll reverse them and do them. And
he still does it on analog too. Like that's the thing that's crazy.
Mike's a genius and one of my favorite artists of all time, but that's a different story.
No, but we're going to get into that in just a moment here. Dearest says Hollywood looked at British
mercantilism.
Thank you. And said, "Hold my tea."
An industry in Hollywood that's full of the most supposedly progressive leftists is the most ruthlessly capitalistic in the most horrible, predatory way.
Yeah.
But it's the irony. That's always the irony. Yeah.
But so we got a new trailer today. I'm sure, as some of you may remember, David Gordon Green and Blumhouse are working with Morgan Creek on a new pair of Exorcist films.
It's Blumhouse.
Well, they talked about a trilogy, possibly.
Trilogy.
Possible trilogy.
No, actually, I know it's what they initially talked about, but I did some research, and I think after Halloween ends, they said, "No, you're only getting 2."
Yes, that's maybe a good
Might
thing.
be too many.
Too many, yeah. Because here's the thing, and I've been hearing from a couple of sources already that have seen early test screenings of this movie. It ain't good.
The preview kind of just shows the whole movie, and it tells you
the preview is fucking wretched.
Yeah,
and I wish we could show it, but Universal are dicks.
Well, you know what my first thought was when I watched it? I thought, is this an episode of CSI Exorcist?
Well, the makeup looks horrible.
Because that's what it felt like to me.
And then they literally dig up fucking Ellen Bernstein from her grave and stick her in this movie, man. I mean, what the fuck are they thinking? Yeah. This one's called Exorcist Believer, and then we got another sequel coming soon called Exorcist Deceiver.
Are they committed to both movies?
Yes, I think they filmed them back to back, and I'll tell you why. You can kind of tell from this trailer what the story is probably going to be like. Who was it? You just said it. I think Brian that said, or was it UCC who said it? Gives the whole trailer, whole movie away, basically.
Yeah, CC said that. Yeah, but it's like, for me, it looked like an episode of CSI, but that's
it has echoes of basically what they did in Exorcist at the beginning. And
so the question I have is, if these two movies do really well, will they make a third one called The Exorcist Receiver?
Maybe. We were kind of trying to figure that earlier on Mr. H's. What would the third title be? We got Believer, Deceiver. Was it be Dreamer?
No, it would be The Exorcist
Believer.
Disbelief.
No, it's Receiver, and it's a football player who
Receiver. Yeah, that works. The Receiver.
How do you know if the trailer gives the whole movie away if you haven't seen the movie yet?
That's fair. That's fair, 6. But I'm going back. Okay, I'm going to assume from what I saw in the trailer, what I've heard of the breakdown synopsis, going by the 2 titles of the film, the fact that we have 2 girls that are possessed, and the way that the reason I'm comparing this to the beginning, because there was this whole twist in both versions of the beginning where you think the person who's possessed is the bad person or the one who's the only the problem, when you find out that it's another one. So just having the words believer, deceiver in the title tells me that one of the 2 girls that we think is the real problem that came up with the idea or whatever to go out and mess with the fucking Ouija board or whatever the hell they do to get possessed. You're going to think it's one's fault. You're going to find out it's the other. And then there's going to be a third party who's not as possessed as the other, just because I think I even see a flash of it in the trailer, but I'm not 100% sure. The other funny part is I don't think there's an exorcist in this movie. I think Mr. H is correct, because there's a line where they have Ellen Bernstein saying, "You're going to need all the religions." And that really pissed me off, because I'll tell you one thing, as somebody who was raised Catholic, The Exorcist is a very Catholic-based fucking movie. Like, there's reasons for it. And you sitting here going, "Oh, we need all the religions now," is one of the wokest, stupidest things I've ever fucking heard. It's like a 12-year-old girl wrote this script. And I guarantee you, Mr. H is right. Ellen Bernstein is going to be the one who actually does the exorcism.
Yeah, I think William Peter Blatty would have had an awful lot to say about this.
I think he'd be spinning in his grave right now.
He is probably spinning in his
It did seem like they gave away a lot in the trailer, because I kept waiting for the trailer to end, and then they kept giving us more and giving us more. And as far as I agree with you about throwing all the religions at it, like they're throwing the phone book at this whole movie, just trying to appease everybody.
So they're gonna have like
interest everybody.
Are they gonna have the Babylonians and the Rastafarians and
the Lemurians?
What about the devil worshippers? Would that be a conflict of interest?
The Jamaicans.
Maybe they're jealous. They're like, wait a minute.
You guys need to calm down with your demon, man. The demon, he got no tree growing out of his face, man.
Yeah, I know what it is. They're going to have the super best friends from South Park.
Yep. What about the religions that don't believe in possession or devels or demons? Like
Jewish, the Jewish religion?
Yeah. Boy, this whole thing, it's an act.
That was the Irish Jewish people.
Yeah. Sorry.
Diddly
diddly potatoes.
But this movie, I believe, does have the chance to make one thing big. It will make The Exorcist 2 look good.
It will. Like, because that's what you were talking about earlier. Like, because culture was really depressed by this. I'm like, why are you fucking depressed? He's like, so I had hopes for this. I'm like, dude, we've had 2 good Exorcist movies. In fact, the last one was so bad they made it twice. Like, what the fuck? Like, what do you expect out of this? Did you really think this was going to be good?
Yeah.
No.
It is a very mixed franchise. Like, they have a lot of entries, but yes, only 2 of them are one is great, and another one is
good. Decent. 3 is okay.
I would argue that 3 has gotten better with time. It's like a fine wine.
3's a serial killer movie. Though,
it is a very much different movie than the first movie, and that's why I like
serial
it.
Killer. Yeah,
it's a movie set in the same universe. It's a sequel to The Exorcist, but it also stands on its own as this.
It does, yeah.
Kind of like you said, like a serial killer kind of. At the time we had like Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. It kind of reminded me.
It's like the Zodiac Killer or something. It's that kind of feel of it, but at least it feels like a little bit like the first one. This feels nothing like The Exorcist.
Well, they're trying to evoke shit, but it doesn't work.
No, but it doesn't look right. The cinematography is television level 21st century cinematography. It just shouldn't look like this. It should look a little bit gothic, a little bit misty, foggy, a little bit. The color palette is entirely wrong. I think that's important in a thing like The Exorcist to give it that feel. It should have a feel like that. This doesn't feel like that.
Well,
like
I think Mr. H said it looks like it was shot on like really cheap digital cameras.
Yes.
Like a made for, and I even posited this might get dropped on both Peacock and in theaters at the same time, just like they did with Halloween. But Brian Barth.
And they're blowing their load on this terrible makeup, and the girls are already completely like demonized.
Yeah, you've already seen
There's no tension in that.
There's no mystery
to it. Keep
to
them relatively normal for a long period of time, so that the audience is guessing at what they will or won't do, what their intentions are. That's the horror. That's the suspense. And you just got them like walking through this church hall. And it's like, yeah, she's a demon. Okay, it's like. There's nothing scary about that.
Well, and Brian wants to know what Friedkin thinks. I haven't heard him say anything yet on it, but I can almost imagine what Friedkin would say.
He'd be freaking out.
He'd be like, He'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Is probably what he would say.
I mean, I would imagine it's cheapening. He'd think it would be cheapening his legacy, but it's nothing to do with him.
He'd be like, it's Exorcist the Bereaver.
I'm a bereaver. I never weave her.
Because I'm bereaved after seeing what they've done to my classic film. That's what he'd say.
Culture could sing that. I'm a bereaver. I'd never weave her.
The Exorcist 3, Mourner.
You're right. Oh God,
it was good to hear the tiny little bit of tubular bells that we got.
That was invoked, but it was like kind of cheap still at the same time.
Yeah, I mean that's
now 6 has been quiet. I want to hear what 6 thinks because she's kind of a horror fan. Were you ever a fan of the original Exorcist?
Yes, even though it scared the shit out of me. This trailer scared the shit out of me. There's no way in hell I'm gonna go see a horror movie like this in the theater where somebody could sneak up behind me and make me tinkle.
You sit in the back row. No one can sneak up behind you.
I love horror movies, and as long as they're not Saw, like that kind of. I don't like that kind of graphic. That's not my kind of thing. But this looks. It gave me chills down my spine.
You're a gothic horror fan.
So it worked for you.
Worked for me, yeah. It's gonna be dumb, but I'm an easy lay when it comes to horror movies.
I think it'll probably deliver what those that like the Blumhouse and other such things. It'll probably deliver that for them. I just don't think it's got any comparison to the original. But if you treated it as something completely different and went in on that basis, I'm sure it would be okay. But it did look pretty to me.
Well, and somebody asked about where's Linda Blair. Well, she's not in this one. In fact, she said she didn't even get asked to be in this one, but rumors were swirling that she might be in the sequel. So watch her mom get killed in this one, so then they need to pull in Linda Blair for the sequel.
So I have a question about that, though. I mean, it talks in these articles about this movie about Exorcist fans and so on. I mean, is it really that big a fandom?
I don't know. Exorcist
niche. That's for sure.
Niche. It's
I was going to say Exorcist is more one of those movies that doesn't necessarily have a fan base as it is. The original film is held on this level of like the Godfather of horror films, right? Like it's one of those movies that for years was at the top of every critic out there's scariest film of all time list. And granted, it's probably not a movie that aged well for a modern audience, but for people like me, like the bigger part of The Exorcist is it's like one of those damn near perfect films. It's Friedkin firing on all cylinders. Like, and I mean, he puts everything into this movie you can think of, and like,
it freaks me out to this day still. So
it does have its like, and it's not even so much that, and I don't know if this is the same for you, Script, but it's an unsettling film for me more so, not like the scenes where she's transformed and all that kind of business, which is bad enough, but like the scariest part for me as a parent, especially from when I was a kid, it was like, okay, it's The Exorcist. But as I became a parent, I started seeing this movie on a whole nother level because you see the movie more through Bernstein's, the mother's eyes, basically. And the scariest part of and I was just going to say, the scariest part of the movie isn't when they're going through the exorcism so much as when basically she's going through all these tests and then she's sitting and it culminates up on where she's sitting on the bench with the priest and she's like, I need your help. I have no idea what's wrong with my daughter. Doctors can't help her. Therapists can't help her. Won't you please help her? And it's that fear of not knowing what to do, what's wrong with your child, what can I do to fix this? And it's that fear of not knowing, the unknown, and could it possibly be something that is this bad? And she's literally on her last, bit of wits, just begging this guy to do the unthinkable because she has no other resort. That to me is the scariest part of the film.
Yeah, and also
is apparent.
It's a battle between good and evil, absolute good and absolute evil.
I think Reagan's finished. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just personified in the with the evil part in the role of who we expect to be the most innocent of people, a young girl.
Right, and that's in that deleted scene that's put back in the extended cut. But you were going to say something.
I think Reagan's going to show up in the final scene. She's going to come in and save the day, and then she's going to be the main character in the next one.
You could be
and
right.
as far as how popular the fan base is, I did the ultimate test to see how big a fan base is, and I went to fanfiction.net and I did a search for the Exorcist fan fiction, and there hasn't been any in the last year.
Yeah, I don't think it's really like a franchise like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, any of those that have a major fan base following. But what it is it's a prestigious horror film. And to me, this trailer, and I don't know if you guys get this too, it feels like they're trying to evoke the Halloween kind of thing vibe to it. It's like, that doesn't work for this.
It's not gothic
this is
enough.
An intimate story. Like that's the concept with like different areas of like the slasher flicks of horror. The Exorcist is not that. It's a very intimate story. And I'm definitely worried that if they do bring Linda Blair back, the first line out of her mouth is going to be "Remember me, Pazuzu," or something of that nature, because you just know that they're chomping at the bit to try and have some sort of iconic, moment for that character, because they want to make it epic. They want to build it up bigger than what it actually is, as opposed to objectively looking at what is its impact with regards to horror as a genre overall, and how can we actually maintain what was done in that first film for a new generation without losing what made that first film good. That is a really hard thing to do. And I think they're kind of looking before they leap here when they're just doing two movies back to back, because again, you have to, you have to make sure the first one you do is successful before you invest in a second one. And if you're working on two at the same time, you're not giving the one that's going to impress people the priority it needs in order to impress people because you're worried about the second one.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I don't think the member berries thing with Linda Blair or any of that will have much impact because I don't think anybody really knows who she is that isn't a certain age or into movies of a certain kind.
Well, and that's
I
just
think
it.
the film has to stand on its own 2 feet without any reliance on some kind of member berry that may be nothing to most people.
Well, this is the one time aside from the second film, and I guess you could argue for the third film because the characters return, but it's not the same actors, where they're actually bringing back characters from the other films. And I argue that this is not necessarily a franchise where you need that, right? Like outside of the third film that makes sense, and that's why I think that film works, is because it's such a different story than what the first film is, because it's much more of a mystery, like you guys were saying, to where this is the Exorcist one, like script says, I agree wholeheartedly. It's a very intimate tale. It is all about this woman's life falling apart, and she can't get a handle on what's going on with her daughter. And that was the other thing, was like, and that's why I'm not a fan of the extended cut, but I love that scene being in the extended cut and it's not in the other version, because you kind of need it there. And Blatty was right about that, is when Father gosh, I keep forgetting, Damien asks Father Marin, you know, why her? You know, why this little girl? And he's like, so we basically lose all faith, right? Like, and we, everything you just said, basically, Brian, he says almost verbatim in that scene. And that to me kind of encapsulates this whole thing, is he wants you to give up and he wants you to think that there's this evil in the world and it can triumph even in the most innocent of people.
And indeed, and you've nailed it even better, because I saw it as the battle of good and evil, but you mentioned it earlier. It's about faith with good, evil trying to destroy faith.
Well, that's because the movie isn't about anything more than
faith. Yeah.
If you look at the movie as a whole and step back, it's really about Father Damien losing his faith after his mother dies. And then this woman asking him to perform this exorcist, and then he meets Father Marin, and Damien's having his own crisis of faith. Damien Karras, yes. He's having his own crisis of faith in himself. And when he basically says, you know, take me, that's him re-embracing his faith again and saving not only Regan's life, but sacrificing himself in the same way Jesus did. It's a very symbolic film in that way. I love The Exorcist. It's one of those movies I've torn apart millions of times, and the more you tear it apart, the more layers there are to it. And it's a really great watch, and it's one of those perfect films. And unfortunately, it doesn't deserve this.
And once it's got its share of shocking moments and gore and, you know, rotating heads and vomit and all that good stuff.
There's not as much gore, but
it's more psychological. It's psychological horror, like Don't Look Now.
Like the crucifix scene is probably the worst scene as far as gore.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's directly trying to invoke a feeling of horror. So it's not a slasher like modern horror movies generally are. A lot of them, it's trying to invoke a feeling of horror in you, an emotional
and despair,
response.
and that's exactly what Marin says. He goes, he wants us to feel despair, right? And he's like, I think it's several demons. He's like, it's one. He's like, it's one. It's Pazuzu. That's who it is. He doesn't say the name Pazuzu, but we know who. We eventually find out that's who the demon is, and it will claim to be the devil. It'll claim to be legion. It'll claim to be many, but it's not. Right? It's a liar, and that's where I know this believer deceiver comes from. Is there's going to be 2 demons this time, and one is going to be, you know, one way, and the other, and you're going to think it's
anyway. Beelzebub.
Yeah, you're probably right. Script is how else are you going to this whole thing with?
Tom cut out there.
They need the actual fucking devil this time. You're right, Script, because that was the one point they do make in the original film too. Is she's like he doesn't say he's just a demon. He claims he's a devil himself, and that's where Marin's like, of course he does.
I like Shinotsky's quote, "Your mother watches The Last Jedi in hell." That's a good one.
What did you say?
That's funny.
Just ignore him.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It's
the power of Lucas compels you. The power of Lucas compels you.
Other than the sort of television style horror, Universal stuff, and Hammer stuff that I'd seen on TV, it is one of the first, if not the first, horror movie I ever saw in a cinema. So, it's The Exorcist. So it does hold a special place in my cinematic experience. It wasn't, and that wasn't when it came out. That was in reruns about 3-4 years later. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's still, it's one of those films that transcends genre. I think the first one.
Tom, how come we don't do watch parties?
We did them back in the day, and nobody watched.
Okay.
Watch party. Watch
was there.
As someone who has worked with a myriad of channels on YouTube, watch parties are overwhelmingly a cute idea that no one ever participates in.
Yeah.
I've done watch parties with EVN, and they're a lot of fun.
I think, yeah. I mean, it needs a certain number of people to make it work, and
you can't have dead air. They technically have to be like fans film commentary.
Yep.
I did a watch party with Tom, YetiCast, and Zax, and that was a fucking ball.
One of the most surreal experiences is when you go into the chat on a watch party and you're not watching the movie. And you see a lot of people sitting there like this. And then you start chatting in the chat and it's like, what's going on here?
I don't know how this movie's going to do because, look, I mean, when this thing came, I mean, the number of Catholics has fallen off. The number of people in general that are participating in religion has fallen off. I mean, I can just see, a kid, a young adult, they watch this. Daddy, what is that man? Why is he wearing black and white like that?
What's that funny thing that's shaped like this in it?
God, I hate my fucking. Is my mic fucked up again?
No, I can hear you.
It just did one time, but yeah, it's just a random thing. But did my mic do something
ear
before?
bleeding. It just
it seems like
for a half second.
I think you've got maybe an intensity threshold on there. So if you got a little too close or a little too loud,
Something
it
like
might.
that,
He is pretty intense.
What are you talking about, me or Tom?
Tom.
I was gonna say, I think both of us are having an issue. Yeah,
I think after yesterday, it might be on its last legs.
me or him.
You, Tom. Sorry.
Well, hopefully my new mic will be working better. So, because I just reset all my audio stuff, so we'll see.
Okay.
So I think, though, regardless of what the quality of this movie is, it'll probably do pretty well just based on the fact it didn't cost a lot to make and on the name brand name, The Exorcist. So it'll do.
Do we know what the what they spent on it?
I don't think it was very much.
40
Blumhouse
million.
likes to do things very cheaply and efficiently.
Yeah.
So it'll do pretty well, like all these films do.
I think it was like 60, but I'm not sure.
Which is actually the most expensive they've really gone
lot.
for a horror film in there. But as far as I know, because they did one movie that wasn't a horror film that was expensive, the Whiplash.
Oh,
which
yeah.
was a really good movie, but it just did not
movie.
perform as well.
The drumming movie.
Yeah, J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, the brilliant movie.
Oh, God.
It's almost a horror movie.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's horrific in the sense that, there's all this pressure and the dynamics and the stakes. But, yeah, like the Blumhouse, again, Blumhouse had the model that before the pandemic, Hollywood was trying to recreate, especially at the studio level. And they were having a very difficult time. And that was because Disney was making so much money at the moment that they were leading the direction of how the studio system should work. And unfortunately, the powers that be in the other studios never remembered their history, which is whatever is Disney doing, don't repeat it because it's going to fail.
Oh, wow. Look at this. The deal that Universal and Peacock made for this was $400 million fucking dollars.
Whew. Sorry, say that again. 400 million?
According to a 21 Deadline report, Universal and its streaming service Peacock had to close a $400 million plus deal.
Holy shit! Before
just for the rights?
That's pounds.
To buy the rights. Oh,
to buy it originally 400 million pounds, so it's 400 million plus in actual American.
That'd be like maybe $700 million.
600.
Jesus.
6 or 700 million.
Well, when they made this deal, maybe there wasn't as much of a difference in the.
Oh no, the British pound sterling has always been way more valuable than.
Okay, well, in this case, then they're way off here. in their way up here.
700.
Sorry, that's just for the rights? Is that including the rights to the original trilogy?
I don't think so, because Warner still owns the rights to the original 4 films or whatever, 4.5 films.
That's a gamble. That is an ambitious
they've got
gamble.
the distribution contracts on that, I think, for the next few years at least.
I think the only one that might be up in the air is Exorcist 3.
Because of the 2 different versions?
No, but because
no,
Morgan Creek didn't come in until Exorcist 3. The first 2 movies are definitely Warner Brothers Pictures. Morgan Creek came in with the 3rd film, so maybe from the 3rd film on, they're not Warner owned. I don't know.
But they were still distributed by Warner, even with Morgan Creek, right? So that might be it, because Warner might own the first set, and then they have the distribution rights to the remaining ones, even though the production houses that make them own the rights to the.
Again, I don't know the ins and outs.
You're right, Tom. Morgan Creek.
It's very. I mean, movie distribution rights, movie actual rights are very complicated.
Exactly. So in this case, it looks like they had to pay out well over 400 million pounds.
$442 million.
Okay. $442 million. That's I was gonna say I didn't think it would be that much more.
I thought it would be a little more.
Yeah.
At least as far as today, that's the equivalent today.
Even $400 million would be ambitious, I think.
Yeah.
Given
that's not even counting the budget, guys. That's just counting the rights that they paid out.
The permission to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that means they're already 400 million in on these 2 movies.
I mean, that's a great deal for the rights holders of The Exorcist. But
it's ambitious.
It is.
Morgan Creek was
Comcast Universal. They have great business models, but they have terrible business decisions. Like, if you know the history of NBC, how they put their shows together, some of them are very efficient, but the stuff that they put behind their shows, especially after must-see TV kind of died, is because they didn't find the quality that they wanted to for the models that they use. They just don't do that. They don't have the #1 sitcom in America anymore. They haven't had the #1 sitcom in America since 2014, I think. And at that point, it was like only one of all the sitcoms was good. And that's it. Like they just have been losing talent and losing, dominance that they had through most of the 90s. Like NBC was the network to get in the 1990s and early 2000s. Like they blew ABC and CBS out of the water Thursday nights for a solid decade. Seinfeld and Friends was that block.
Yeah, and didn't they have Saturday Night Live too? NBC
and Cosby before that.
Well, on Thursday and Cosby before that. Well, Saturday Night Live was. I mean, they always
NBC?
dominated Saturday night since the 70s. It only dwindled a little bit when Lorne Michaels left the show in the 80s, but then when he came back, it kind of picked up again. But no,
I don't think
they
never been that good for them for the past like 10, 15 years, though, have they? Because
they've been in decline
for a while. Yeah,
they've been in decline since Will Ferrell technically left SNL.
I was going to say that'd probably be the last successful. Yeah,
yeah, because they hung on a little bit, but not to the peak that they had with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. Then Tina Fey left to do 30 Rock. Amy Poehler left to do Parks and Rec. Those 2 shows did really well on NBC, but they didn't dominate the Thursday night must-see TV block that they used to have.
Pretty much The Office was the only hit they had there for a while. Yeah, 30 Rock.
Well, this was and then when The Office ended, that's kind of where everything sort of, went away.
Yep. But no, as far as Morgan Creek goes, yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of all their deals because I know they came into the game pretty late. As far as like they started in the late 80s, their first big claim to fame was they produced the first Major League movie. And Young Guns. Those were their first 2 big ones that I recall. And Robin Hood. But see, they had a big deal with Warner Brothers. So I think Warner Brothers owns a lot of those, except for they don't own like the Ace Ventura movies. Morgan Creek does. The Young Guns movies, I think Morgan Creek owns. And their distribution deals are all over the fucking place. That's the other problem. So like, I don't know who has what in some cases, because I think Warner still retains Robin Hood, but they no longer have Ace Ventura, for instance, like I said. And this is why they're also trying to do another Ace Ventura, another Young Guns, another Major League movie, because Morgan Creek was on the verge of going bankrupt here not too long ago.
Well, they haven't been successful in a while.
Exactly. They made this big fucking deal, and they made a few other deals with Sony. So then Sony went and released a bunch of their classic catalog films, like Ace Ventura and stuff like that, and Young Guns 2 and some other stuff. But
they actually did extend their Ace Ventura rights a few years when they did the made-for-TV film of Ace Ventura 3 with the kids movie from the
But that was well over 10 years ago.
Thing. Yeah, that was like a long time ago. It was like almost
so the rights had reverted back to Morgan Creek because they took them over with them. And that's why they're trying to do Ace Ventura 3 now.
Well, like, yeah, they're basically doing another Ace Ventura 3 because that one is officially titled Ace Ventura 3.
Actually, I thought it was Ace Ventura Jr. or whatever it was.
I think in some demographics it were. I remember in Canada and when I saw it in California, it was advertised as Ace Ventura 3. But without Jim Carrey, which was
without
really
the
weird.
Canadian in Canada.
Yeah, exactly. It was weird because I remember I saw the posters for it at I can't remember which lot it was. It probably was Warner Brothers, maybe not. And I'm like, Ace Ventura 3, and there's no Jim Carrey. What the hell is going on? And then
yeah,
it was coming out in DVD, and I was in BC at the time, and it was Ace Ventura 3.
Basically, that was when Warner started their straight-to-video division. It started with Lost Boys 2, Ace Ventura Jr., and I can't remember the other one was. They had like 3 or 4 movies they started it off with, and Lost Boys did so well that, yeah, it lasted for a little while. But who owns The Mask? Well, technically Warner Brothers does now, but it was New Line. I don't know if the rights have reverted back to, I don't know where they're at because I think, was it Malibu or who owned the original Imprint? Somebody like that. Whoever owned the original comic book rights, they haven't made a movie in so long. I got to imagine the rights have probably reverted back by now.
So according to the interwebs, they're going to call the supposed next Ace Ventura 3, and always refer to the other one as Ace Ventura Jr.
Ooh, rebranding. Cool.
Yes.
I mean, I remember when they did
that. Because I think Morgan Creek did produce it, though, but it was through
They
Warner
did that
Brothers,
for Highlander 3. One version is just Highlander 3, the Sorcerer, and then there's another version of the title, but they're both exactly the same film.
Yeah. But so we'll see how The Exorcist does. We got some super chats here. Warrior Justice says, what's your favorite fruit? Mine is Clay Aiken. Okay. Warrior Justice then says, what did one boob say to the other? If we don't get any support, people say we will look like nuts. And hey, beautiful. 6 Brian, Mexican Tony, Bat Tom, and CC.
Hey,
thank you, Warrior Justice. Doug 1985 says, if David Gordon Green makes a F-13 film, he's going to bring back all the final girls except the this is the one place where that might work, but we already know a little bit about what's going on in the Friday the 13th world. I wish I had more to go on, but Brian Fuller, as far as I know, has gotten, I think they're done filming it by now, the Friday the 13th TV series.
Oh, the Camp Crystal Lake one.
Yeah.
I hope they wrapped production before the actor strike.
I think they did, because I remember seeing a poster not too long ago.
So as it said,
I've been bugging R&B from time to time to get me some info on it.
I take it there are cabins at this camp, and the teenagers will sneak off to them when they shouldn't. They know they shouldn't.
Well, maybe. I mean, here's the thing: is I'm kind of intrigued by this idea because, again, remember this is Brian Fuller doing this,
who nailed Hannibal.
Yeah, so I think maybe if he kind of brings that kind of mentality to it, maybe twist it a little bit like Bates Motel. Kind of telling different, the eras of time. It sounds like these things are going to be more like stuff that happened in between the movies, not so much retreading the same ground.
Quite interesting. It does.
That would be like the type of thing I try to pitch with Die Hard, is I wanted to tell funny, well, not really funny, but like interesting stories in between the Die Hard films where they're nowhere near as fantastical as Die Hard, but you just explored the John McClane stuff and you kind of build up to those
John
things.
McClane is an ordinary cop.
Well, I wanted to do one season where explored basically the dump truck mystery in LA that him and oh God, why am I forgetting his name?
No, but you're talking about, and I agree with you, because they should have, even if they couldn't get Bruce Willis, they totally should have done a TV show out of that whole cast that plays his New York cop friends.
Absolutely.
Like I would have watched a show every week of those guys.
That is, I mean, yes, those are such great casts, great characters. It's like, why that? Can we just go now that John McClane's story is done? Can we just go back to that precinct and the fire department and just see those guys for a few more adventures? Like they were great.
Yeah, because that one dude was technically the head of the fire department, but he worked right alongside the other guys.
Yeah,
that was,
and it was like, oh wow, who do you have thought that in New York you'd have fire department and the police actually working together instead of trying to fight each other?
So they're playing violent hockey games against each other.
Because you had Kim Cattrall and not Kim Cattrall. What's her name? Damn it. The comedian.
Crap.
She's still around. She still does things. What the hell's her name?
She's the blonde secretary or blonde cop thing that was like freaking out during the explosion and all that stuff.
Yeah. Don't ever do that again. Or I'm going to shove that chair up your ass. Yeah, her. I can't think of her damn name. It's Colleen Camp or something like that. I can't think of it. Colleen Camp. Yes, thank you, Stephen. Yes, I was trying to think of it. Thank you. Yes, she is hilarious.
We're crossing streams here. It's going to be Friday the 13th. Colleen Camp.
Colleen Camp, Crystal Lake. He should play like one of the
that's a movie starring Colleen Camp and Crystal Lake in
The Devil is within her.
Yeah, she was also in Police Academy and Clue. Yes, she's great.
Oh,
very undersung comedian, very much. Yeah,
I should have said that the one thing that this Exorcist remake, whatever we're calling it, it's got going for it is it doesn't appear to be trying to be ironic. So that's good.
I think 6 is right. It has a shot at being good, but I hold very little hope with David Gordon Green after
just
the
too many ironic.
Well, guess who has so the characters in the Exorcist movie, the little girls are named Angela and Catherine. Guess who has a daughter named Catherine?
David Gordon Green.
Reagan
Of course he
McNeil.
does. Oh, she does?
Yeah.
The real
the character Reagan from The Exorcist. She has a daughter named Catherine.
When?
Okay, well, there's a giveaway.
When?
Was it in a book? I don't know.
Yeah, that's news to me. Because they do say that the guy who's one of the kids, he's a single father because he lost his wife in
yeah, he's the father of the black girl, but I'm thinking that Catherine, the white girl, is going to be adopted. And I think that Reagan gave her away. Reagan gave her away because she wanted to keep her daughter.
So where are you seeing the thing about a daughter?
I put the link in the private
character
chat.
wiki here. It seems like
Is it? Where did that come
Catherine
from?
and Casey.
Was that something brought up in maybe the Legion book that wasn't just put in the movie?
I don't know. I just went looking for
Oh yeah,
Catherine.
I was right here. For Exorcist 3, Color Code Pictures had the idea of a grown-up Reagan who gives birth to possessed twins, but that was abandoned. And the story was switched to that's where it came from. All right. So it was an unused idea. And then in the TV series they had
the TV show.
Okay. But the TV show was a reboot. That was not a sequel.
Right. Yeah. Well, but they're going to pull from whatever.
Yeah,
wherever
whatever they want.
And I know Catherine is a common name, but I can't imagine that they're going to do this movie without Linda Blair. That's stupid.
Yeah. Well, on that, I was wondering if maybe it was in the Legion book and they just didn't use it in the movie. Like they just brought up, the case history and
it's probably good that Max von Sydow is no longer with us because he won't be subjected to having to take part in it.
No shit, right?
That's right.
But of course, he'd look the right age now, that is one of the best old age makeups in cinema history. If you want to see the work, because I never realized it was makeup till way later. I was like, holy shit, that guy's a lot younger in real life than I thought.
No, he seems like he's already.
Because he always looked like that.
Yeah,
and they got the makeup dead on in that movie.
Yeah.
Because it's funny because you don't see him as a young person until the second film. And I'm like, oh shit, that's him? I thought at first, I was like, wait, they just got somebody who looks and sounds just like him, but he's younger. And it took me kind of a few minutes to wrap my hand around it all. Then you got to think about, when did these movies come out again? Oh yeah, wow.
Early 70s. Yeah.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, Linda Blair did have some issues, but she seems to have gotten her shit together. I've seen a lot of interviews with her here and there. She seemed, that's where I'm not so sure. I mean, you could be right, 6, that she's just lying and she does pop up at the end of this one. Because I did hear some rumors about her showing up in the sequel. But she seemed pretty upset when she was asked about it. And she said, no, I'm not in the second one. Not in this new one. And they didn't even ask me.
She could just be bluffing.
I'm not. And I don't know anything. I don't have any sources. I just like to put on my tinfoil hat when we talk about this stuff and see where it leads me.
Okay, according to Mike, the series was a sequel and Gina Davis played Reagan. Oh, okay, that's perfect. I didn't watch that thing.
No, I didn't see it. When 6 says she has a tinfoil hat, I believe her.
I like the one with Gina Davis. I thought that first season was great. But there's another TV series.
Was there?
I don't know. I've never seen
I didn't know there was another one.
What's television?
I know, right? Anyway, let's keep moving here while you're looking at up 6. Warrior of Justice says, have you seen the new Exorcist movie? This time that it's the devil trying to get the priest out of the child. Oh! Also, hi, Dr. Script. I forget to say hi.
No worries.
If you just made up this joke, Warrior of Justice, this might be your best one yet, because I know some of the other ones you've gotten from other places I've heard.
That one I've heard before.
Yeah, have you? Okay, that one's pretty funny.
It's a brilliant one. Well done.
Here in the Steadfast says, is there different versions of the original Exorcist? If so, which is the best one? Well, there's 2 different versions, and it all depends on your taste. I wish they would do what I would call an ultimate cut, and I'm sure some fan probably will after the 4Ks come out, because there's stuff that's in the extended cut that I wish, like the scene we were just discussing earlier, where it's a break in the exorcism, and the theatrical cut, it just shows them sitting on the stairs not saying anything. But in the extended cut, they have that speech and discussion that Brian and I were talking about, where he goes, he just wants us to despair and not believe and lose our faith and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, why this little girl and all this kind of stuff. So that kind of really encapsulates the whole film in that scene. So I wish that scene was in there, but things like the spider walk, I still think look really bad and are unnecessary. Some of the faces and other stuff added in the background digitally, I thought were unnecessary. Other than that, like the ending, I can give or take. I like the new ending, but it doesn't need it. It's nice to have it because it sets up the friendship for Exorcist 3. So I guess in that respect, but the whole argument stemmed from, and it's really funny because you can see the actual moment that this began in this discussion between Blatty and Friedkin that's on the old DVD and Blu-rays. And they're sitting there arguing about the movie, like flat out fucking arguing like Script and I do sometimes. And Friedkin finally throws his hands and he goes, you know what? You might be right. Maybe we'll re-release this movie and you can stand out in the lobby and tell each and every patron that the devil didn't win. Because Blatty was all upset because he goes, the way you ended the movie, I think it says that the devil won. He's like, how do you get that from my movie? He's like, clearly you think one thing, I think another. He's all right, fine. We'll see who's right. And at that moment, you can tell that's when Friedkin's like, all right, motherfucker. We'll make your version and we'll see what people think. And really, it was one of the most meh kind of extended cuts in history. Like, it doesn't really make it worse or better, but most people would just prefer the original because of all the digital stuff that was added to it, basically. But what do you guys think? Have you guys seen both of them? Do you give a shit? Six, start with you.
I can't. What show are you talking about?
The original Exorcist, the version you've never seen, and the original one.
You told me to go look for a link. You said
I'm sorry, Six.
Talk about
I'm sorry,
something while you're
Six.
looking at, and then I'm trying to find a link for
my bad.
Brilliant Rogue, and then I copy and pasted it into the chat, and it's not working, and so I'm trying to.
Never mind. Okay, moving on to Mike. Do you care?
Sorry.
Nope. Move along.
All right, Script. What do you think?
Ding
dong.
I've only seen the original one. I haven't seen the one with any of the digital effects added or anything of that.
Yeah. Okay. So not the spider walk or the ending, new edition.
I know of the spider walk. I've just never seen it in the Exorcist versions I've seen. So.
Yeah, that's really the only difference is the spider walk, the break in the exorcism, and the end. That's the real only differences in the movie. Brian, have you seen both versions?
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. CC, have you seen both versions?
I've only seen the extended cut, I think.
Okay.
For me, it was always the Poltergeist. So that's the one I've seen a lot more often. For the Exorcist, I've only seen it once or twice, and I'm pretty sure it was the extended cut.
Flash is trying to fucking troll me. I'm going Saturday, motherfucker. You should try and go. It's they got a sneak preview Saturday. I'm not shitting you.
I like how the fact that you and I will literally be like days ahead of everybody else.
We're going on a date. Mikey and I are at the same time to go see the Ninja Turtles.
Cool. I might even buy two seats just so I can pretend Tom's with me.
Six told me to buy 2 seats.
I did what?
Pretty sure he's trolling.
You told me to get 2 seats.
I
for
did?
Ninja Turtles. Yeah. You said in case I find somebody to go with me, but Mikey just said he bought 2 seats. So it's like, you told me to. Yeah.
I thought that's because Mikey just like nobody sitting next to him. He wanted space next to him.
Yeah. All right, we go on here with Warrior of Justice. It says, Mother believes you change gender trans. That'd be an interesting one. Nikki D says, if Greta Gerwig was asked to direct the Expendables movie for a modern audience, how would the story and themes play out? Who would be cast? Oh, Lord. Well, pretty much, I was going to say all the Paul Feig regulars, probably.
Yeah. What an abomination that would be.
Actually, with Greta Gerwig, she would probably have Laurie Metcalf, Saoirse Ronan, Margot Robbie. Because those are the ones she's actually worked with. She hasn't worked with any of the Paul Feig people.
True, but I mean, you got to fill it out, though. I mean, obviously Margot Robbie would be in it, but
Fleabag would be
Michael Cera was in Barbie, right?
Michael Cera would make a great Expendable.
Yeah, the only one from Feig's camp that Greta Gerwig has used was Kate McKinnon, so she'll probably be back. I think that's enough, actually.
But as far as the story, I mean, they would have to destroy a bunch of men who have taken over some country or something.
They have to liberate a birth control manufacturing department.
Patriarchy would be targeted. I do have to drop out, unfortunately, Tom.
But go eat your supper.
No, I got visitors. It was my doorbell ringing.
Well, I thought that was Six's doorbell.
No, it was me. So,
I don't have a doorbell.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Okay, so thank you.
Brian.
Take care.
Yeah.
So, did you find out, Six, what the deal is with this other Exorcist?
No, I can't find it. Corellian Rogue says that there's only one TV show.
That's what I was thinking. So I don't know what. Yeah, where the two.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
Okay, no worries. We'll just keep going then. No worries.
I gotta quit day drinking.
No, please don't.
I don't know. I have so many tabs open and I'm so fucking tired.
Well, I was hoping that Culture or Valiant would hop in for this, but did anybody see this? Bryan Cranston tells Bob Iger that our jobs will not be taken away by AI. Rousing speech. You will not take away our dignity.
But it is for sale, and our demand. But our price is in our contract that we are demanding.
Exactly. This is on the heels of a couple of other digs at Bob Iger out there, like a lot of hit pieces, I guess you would call them, of sorts. So yeah, I just want to kind of get an update from Script, how things are going, how he sees things going here in the strike world, the way things are going with the AI business, because now I'd seen some figure where the amount of money they were going to spend on, who was it, Warner Brothers or somebody else was going to spend on some AI person to come in. They're going to make as much as what, like, I don't know, like 19 actors would make, I guess, or some shit like that a year.
Yeah, apparently the math with regards to big tech for hiring them for AI stuff is going to make it less profitable for the studios than actually hiring actors.
Yeah, that's the basics I was reading. Yeah,
pretty funny. The other part too is that the high end of the estimate with regards to combining the actors, writers, and what the directors have already gotten, like the expense of what it would be annually for all the studios, has come back to be approximately $600 million of expenses, which is less than a fraction of a percent of the combined net profits of the big five plus Apple and Amazon. So, and the funny thing is that we are a few months, we have already passed that amount in losses from the strike already. So $600 million is what the studios had to give over annually in order to meet all the demands of the DGA, the WGA, and SAG-AFTRA. And since the writer's strike in May and in culmination with the actor strike now, they have lost approximately $2.5 to $3 billion. And my understanding is that the investors have already learned of this, and they're not happy.
Interesting, Mikey.
They're looking at it in the math of, wait a minute, you've essentially cost us $2.4 billion.
I've got something to add that just happened to me this afternoon.
Thank you. I was just going to ask you what your take on this was anyway, so go ahead.
So I can't disclose his name, but I've mentioned him before. He's someone that works in Burbank. And I didn't see this article before you flashed it on the screen live on the show. But what this person told me, who's told me other things over the last couple of years, this is the guy I've known since 2005, is that I guess Bob's comments about the writers' strike. Well, this is what happened. He said that there were a flurry of calls that have come in from very high-level agents of talent in the greater Hollywood area to certain studio execs inside Disney that have asked that the message be passed along that Bob not say anything incendiary towards talent while the negotiations of the strike are in motion. That it was, quote, not a good look, and that these are like super high-powered agents that are calling people in the studio exec side. That he told me that about 3:30, 4 o'clock this afternoon. I was on the phone with him talking about some other stuff, and he mentioned that he works for Disney and he's very well placed and he's been there a long time, and I've known him since 2005. I think Bob as an exec, if I look at several instances since he's been back, and I mean like several, like, more like almost 10 different appearances, whether it's an investor call, a couple of an earning call, an investor call, couple of interviews, this and that. I think he's somebody who is under a lot of stress, and he's not. See, I think the old Bob used to be a master communicator in terms of really being deliberate with what he said, where he said it, how he said it, and when he said it. The Bob that I've seen over the last 4 or 5 months is a captain that is not sure where to sail his ship and not sure which waters are friendly or not. The other thing that this person told me was that I guess there was a Wall Street Journal editorial that came out over the weekend. Apparently, that was not well received, and there's a lot of stress inside Burbank about that because apparently they got a tip-off that it was happening, and they couldn't stop it from happening, but they tried to stop it from happening. That's what I was told. And look, I believe this. I've known him since 2005. So I don't know. I mean, Bob needs to get his act together, and he needs to get his act together quick. You can't piss everybody off everywhere. You just can't. I mean, you're an executive of one of the, arguably the most important, you are the steward of the most important company of Americana. And now, if we look at the landscape, Bob has pissed off everyone from what? Liberal talent in Hollywood to conservatives to their agents to investors to
the state of Florida.
To the state of Florida. I mean, who would have thought that you could be steward of a company like this, the great Bob Iger, and simultaneously have high-level talent in Hollywood, which are overwhelmingly progressive and liberal, all the way across the country to Florida conservatives pissed off and unhappy. It is astounding. This is the ride of a lifetime. This may be the ride that ends with his lifetime.
Well, I think we were the ones that were taken for a ride.
Absolutely.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I pointed this out on a stream the other day. The one red flag that I missed, that I am embarrassed I missed, was back in 2015 when so many of my contemporaries in Hollywood are saying how great it was to work for Disney. And you never hear that because working for a studio sucks. You want to work for an IP. You want to work with a director. You want to work with a specific producer. You don't really want to work with a studio because studio is corporate. They're crazy. They don't believe in creativity, blah, blah, blah. But for some reason, the town was talking about how great it was to work for Disney. And when you take a look at who they were hiring and what they were doing at the company, you kind of see that they were headed down a dark and basically a path of failure. But it was a red flag that didn't occur to me because it was so new of an idea. And you never saw so many people my age between like 22 and 35 saying how awesome it is to work for a company that has skyrocketed in the last like 4 years, at least at this time, like, 2015, skyrocketed from the little animation studio that did family films to this powerhouse of, superhero and Star Wars. It was crazy. And now we're actually seeing why. And now we also see a lot of those people that loved working for Disney have been getting laid off in the thousands because they most likely contributed to how Disney's brand has been damaged, how they have not been able to maintain their power and their sphere of influence over the industry. And the chickens are coming home to roost at this point.
So as usual, I gotta ask you, Script, where are you at right now? Where do you see the rest of this? How much longer do you see this going on for?
Well, that depends on what happens with the next. I think there's a Universal and Warner Brothers earning call over the next 2 weeks.
I think, in fact, one of them's tomorrow morning, isn't it, Mikey? Or within the next day or two? Because I saw Valiant's stream posted for it. The Disney earning call, I think, is it Thursday?
If it
fucking with his mic again.
Okay. If it is this
Thursday morning is Comcast.
Okay.
Okay. So Comcast Universal is Thursday, which means
and Disney is next week. Is August 9th, 2 weeks later.
All right,
okay.
Thank you.
So if it's in those next 2 weeks, Comcast probably not going to get so much, but definitely get a question or two with regards to the strike. Disney, on the other hand, I predict there's going to be unavoidable questions regarding the strike and the quality of the brand since the last earnings call. And also with the fact that Iger has put his foot in his mouth a number of times between earnings calls, essentially. So we'll have to wait and see, because I think whatever happens as a result of those earnings call is going to spread throughout the rest of the investors. And there might be phone calls, emails, heck, even suspected mail bombs being sent to Disney offices saying, fix this now, or we're pulling out. Because right now, what Disney stock went as low as 84 in the last couple weeks, or at least got very, very close to it, right?
85. It has not. I've been on
like 85.10, or I think or 50.
Yeah, it got close.
It got really close.
Yeah.
So that's bad. And if it drops below 84, if it gets close to 80, that's basically going to be almost a fire sale moment for Disney.
84 is DEFCON 3, DEFCON 2. If we get to the 80 to 82, you're right, Script, it will be DEFCON 1.
Yeah, and it'll be a fire sale, which means that stock will just plummet with everybody selling it as quickly as they possibly can.
That's what I think. Is my mic
And then
getting better now?
And then Perlmutter and crap, the other guy whose name is I'm forgetting might buy it up at a discounted
Nelson,
rate.
Peltz.
Yeah, thank you. Peltz might just buy up everything outstanding at reduced rate, and maybe just do something similar to a hostile takeover. That'd be ideal, but I don't think it's going to happen. But that's like the worst of the worst case scenarios for Bob Iger to face. I'd speculate.
I would concur.
Yes, your mic was better, Mike.
So far, yes. It's very random when it does that. But yeah, so I just wanted to. Oh, go ahead. I just wanted to touch base on the whole strike.
Since my mic isn't working, that's a sound from God that I should fire myself.
No, you shouldn't. But yeah, so like things are not looking good for Bob, because as I said, there's a lot of hit pieces going around on him right now. I don't know if you guys saw these or not, but yeah, they're not looking too good. In fact, I got one here. Bring it up. From the Wall Street Journal from yesterday. Wokeness hobbles Disney as it faces streaming challenge.
I think this is the article he was telling me about.
Maybe. Because, yeah, this goes into all the woke.
Did this come out a couple of days ago or something?
Just Sunday.
Monday? Okay.
Sunday. Yeah, this is what he was talking about.
Yep. And then we also have, I believe, the one that came out today. Let me see if I can find it here. This is the one I think. Yep, this is today. From a Hollywood Reporter. Up here.
Yeah, these are not secondary publications doing this.
No, it's not. These are prestigious ones.
Exactly. Well, this is Hollywood Reporter here. Unpacking Bob Iger's terrible, horrible, no good PR week.
Oh, wow.
And I guess Culture has a whole collection of these that he's going to be doing a video on. So, yeah, this has not been a good week for Bob. Not in the least. So how do you think this factors? Oh, go ahead, CC.
No, those are strong words from the Hollywood Reporter. Terrible, horrible.
It's like, Bob, your check bounced.
Yeah, I think well, this is the thing, is like, doesn't this just go show you like how fair weather a lot of these folks are in Hollywood?
Oh, dude,
are you saying,
Tom,
where
the wind blows? That's where it is.
Exactly.
Tom,
yeah.
are you God, Tom, I think I'm offended. Are you saying Hollywood people aren't loyal?
Actually, here's the thing. They are loyal, but the thing is, loyalty is only as strong as the people that you have it. It's respect that you want, because respect will make you not be in Bob Iger's position, because someone would have respected him enough to say, Bob, you're a freaking idiot. Stop doing this. You're better than this. Get your act together. Let's go. But you don't have that because loyalty doesn't allow someone to say that to their face. Because,
I love the picture that you chose here too.
It's a great one. He looks weathered.
You were about to say something else. I'm sorry there, Script.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, like, listen, I completely understand the concept of loyalty. The problem is that in reality, loyalty is considered more of a hindrance, where respect is more valuable in any relationships. You need to be able to tell someone when they're doing something wrong that they're doing something wrong. When you do that and you try to claim that you're loyal, the person on the other end will say that you're disloyal because you're challenging them. There's a reason the phrase blind loyalty is more commonly known than blind respect. You can't have blind respect. You have to earn respect. Loyalty is compelled almost to a point. And that's one thing with regards to language that you have to pay close attention to, and especially when it's used in business. Because, I mean, listen, you want loyal customers, but you also want respect from your customers, and you want to respect your customers, because your customers are going to tell you when your product is not good. And if you want loyal customers, you're not expecting your loyal customers to tell you if your product is not good or not. You're expecting them to be loyal, which means that just buy what I put out. And that's not a good way to run a business. But you want respect. You want to be like, okay, I'm putting this out. We don't like it. Okay, why don't you like it? Because of this, this, this. Great. We'll change it. We'll make it this, this, and this. We'll put it out. Great. Thank you for listening to us. We like this. We'll buy this. That's the relationship you want. From Disney and from some of the other studios, not so much more recently, because they have been kind of getting more in line with the customers. They're basically putting stuff out and saying, we're expecting the loyal Star Wars customers to watch Acolyte. And if you don't watch it, you're not loyal. And you're also not this. You're probably this. That is what the relationship of loyalty is in the business sense of the world. And you don't want that. You want respect. You want, hey, okay, we're doing this Star Wars show. This is our attempt at it. We're going to put out there. Customers say back, you know what? We didn't believe Moses Ingram's character. She felt too inauthentic, didn't fit in line there. They should have said, okay, you know what? We're going to fix that. We're going to change that. We're going to do something different with the follow-up series, what have you. Thank you very much for your feedback. We value you as a customer. Disney's never. You
just convinced me. I'm going to make an ad that says, "If you don't watch Midnight's Edge after dark," I was going to say in the morning, after dark, you are a bigot and you don't support the LGBTQ community.
Yeah,
I think it'll work.
I mean, that's just one of the things. Like that's kind of how I like to do business. That's why the friends that I have in Hollywood, there are few. They like me a lot because I have no problem telling them when they're being dumb or maybe challenging their ideas, but I'm not doing that because I hate them or I'm jealous. I'm doing that because I really like them and I respect them. And there's something that we can learn together at each other. And the miracle is like, they don't have other relationships like that with people in Hollywood. And it's like, and they can do the same to me. And it's like, they're not going to hurt my feelings because you're trying to, this common goal is there. We're each trying to make each other better. And you can't do that when you're surrounded by affirmation and blind loyalty. And that's how you get stars that have great potential go nuts, like say Lindsay Lohan, for example. That's a classic one. Disney kid, lots of talent. Was told she was the hottest thing ever, both physically and in popularity, and went to her head, and she kind of went nuts for a bit there, and she hasn't never recovered since.
Wow, we might actually date a trans here. That's the other one I'm thinking of.
I like how they picked this.
I need some more.
I like how they picked the photo of Bob where he's like not cleanly shaved.
That's what we just said. We're like, he looks like he's.
I mean, he's just like, he looks like Bob's like 2 steps away from being like in downtown LA, like asking for a quarter. Hey, you got a quarter?
It's like, yeah, he was just asked to leave his office, and it's been 3 days.
Right.
He's the guy that Bill Murray fired in Scrooged.
Oh, Bobcat Goldthwait.
Bobcat Goldthwait at this point. Like, are we going to see him drunk and is like, my wife left me? Can someone deep fake that with Bob Iger's face?
Took a little puppy with it.
Because he also does some Disney. No, wait, he does Warner Brothers cartoon stuff, unfortunately. But would have been.
He did a voice for.
He did Elmer Fudd.
I was
in Scrooge.
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah.
Well, no, but he actually did a voice for a Disney thing. He's in Hercules or one of them. And because he actually threatened to pull his voice from their rides over the whole don't say, I think it was over Don't Say Gay, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember what it was. But he's like, he was going to tell him he wasn't going to allow him to use his voice anymore over something. I can't remember now. Oh, I think I remember what it was, because it might have been Hercules, because I think they pulled James Woods' voice out or something like that, because he played
the Hades.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who he played, but like he's like, yeah, if they pull James Woods' voice out, then they better pull mine out too, I think is what it was, something like that. Oh, it was when they fired James Gunn. Thank you, Christian. Okay, I knew it was one of those things, something to do with that. But anyway, moving on. That's all I had, guys. I really had no more. We got one more super chat here of shit I didn't want to talk about, even though I put it in the title. I took it out of the title. Barbie's true ending, she became Barbenheimen.
All right, great show. Great show.
Dang.
Awesome. Thanks for the super chat. See how I'm changing the subject?
You are.
Like that.
But yeah, that's really all we had. And I don't think Nick is doing a Toxic Tuesday show tonight, guys. I apologize. But maybe I'll do some Mead Radio or something.
Yeah, do Mead Radio.
I've been doing it on Rumble.
What?
You're starting
over there. That was successful.
If I get any warnings, I ain't seen them. I don't know how to get to them.
Hey man, Rumble's really open. Even I'm monetized over there.
Yeah, I just start, and I didn't even know I was monetized. I mean, like, oh, okay.
Wow. Yeah, they're welcoming.
I don't know how to get the money yet, but
yeah, that's true.
So that's why I tell people, just send it PayPal still if you're going to send anything. But like, yeah. No, maybe I'll do so. I don't know. I should watch a movie or something. I'll watch Barbie.
God, I'm going to go eat.
Sticks, do you got anything going on coming up here? I don't know what happened to Six. Did she step away and I missed it?
Yeah.
I don't see it in the chat.
Yeah.
Maybe she
You're
forgot.
muted, Six. If not, okay, I don't think she's here. All right. Mikey, you got anything coming up since you're the world's greatest YouTuber?
No, I'm trying to eat.
What are you eating?
I'm hungry. I don't know. I don't know. I guess what we got.
I'm hungry. Come over. I'll make you pork chops and taters.
Dude, by the time I get, first of all, there's not a flight that leaves in time. I love
text me when you're over. Text me when you're over, like Illinois, and I'll start it. This is why you need a private plane, Mike, so we can just jet set everywhere.
I can't afford that right now.
Well, we got to learn how. Look, I'll forego some of my shit if we can just get a private plane.
I've had a private plane. Like, I had a membership for about, when was it? About a year and a half, year and 10 months, I think it was. To you buy like 2 trips. I had 2 trips between San Francisco and LA a month for 2 or 4 people, guaranteed seats twice per month, round trip. And it was pretty pimp and it was pretty sweet. You buy like a membership and then you book it.
Oh yeah. I remember the memberships we had with Warner Brothers, where the whole team would be flown from LAX to Vancouver like 4 times and back like 4 times a month, so once a week. And it was a nice like 4-seater or 4-row jet. It was great. Didn't cost me anything.
Six, you're gonna say something? Fine. You're about to say something?
Oh, I heard my name. So I said,
well,
what?
we asked what you got. Something coming up. We're wrapping up.
I got nothing. Sorry, go.
I got nothing.
Next.
I'm sure you'll be around.
How come you don't want to talk about Barbie?
I'm a Barbie girl.
I'm Barbied out.
World.
I was just wondering if chat wanted to hear any Barbie talk.
No. It was weird is because now we have more people watching now that I took Barbie out of the fucking title than when I had it in the title.
Chuck Norris is a good title.
I'm not kidding. Yeah, Chuck Norris kicked butt while Bob Iger got his butt kicked. Is what I changed it.
It's sexy news, man.
Good one. Everybody loves Chuck Norris.
And that would be even funnier is if Chuck Norris would kick Bob Iger's butt.
Well, when he crosses him. I mean, they're close in age too.
I know what
That's
you
a fair
said.
fight.
He'd just come and roundhouse his ass. hit him so hard he thought he saw Patrick Swayze.
Probably nearly did on the brink of death.
Because that's what you got it. That was a very existential joke, but you got it. Man, Script, speaking of anything you got coming up you want to sell?
Tomorrow on Jeff the Rookie Critics channel, I'll be over there at 5 p.m. Eastern. Go check us out and follow me on Twitter. I'm writing 3 reviews at the same time, and they're taking a while, and I'm trying to keep them as concise as possible because I really just want to get the Barbie stuff out of my system and not go back to it again.
Well, I get to drown it out with Ninja Turtles this Saturday.
Cool.
Not really. I'm not.
Well, I mean, you never. Well, yeah, you're again.
I'm looking forward to it like a prisoner on death row looks forward to getting zapped, motherfucker. That's where I'm at right now.
Exactly. You might leave and be like,
I'm on the Ninja Turtle Green Mile right now.
The Ooze Mile, really.
It is. Like, that's what I feel like, right? It's this long green tunnel leading towards the end of this fucking thing that I was like, I got it. You know what? I thought after the Bay Turtles 2, like that was it. I'm like, okay, God, thank God I'm done with this shit for a while. Oh, no.
I'm still in the pink tunnel.
Pink tunnel.
That's a little innuendo there.
Yeah.
That's how I roll. I'm just not over it yet. I'm still pissed off about it.
I like turtles.
Oh no, I moved my zombie kid. He's not here. Shit.
Is that a
I moved
thing?
a bunch of shit in my. Yeah, hang on.
No, a limiter on your mic.
Yeah.
There's a threshold built inside of mics where if they pick up too high of or too loud of a decibel.
That might be what's going on with Mike's mic.
Well, is it better now, or is it still a problem?
It is. It just does it every randomly.
Was it doing it right now randomly?
Nope.
No.
It hasn't done it since you were talking earlier.
Mikey picked a pickle peppers through the pecker.
You said pecker.
How old are your cords?
I don't know.
Pecker old.
2 years?
I like turtles.
Yeah, it's getting on.
I think my mic is 2 years.
XLRs are pretty notorious.
Why aren't my tickets
I like turtles.
Why aren't my tickets for Saturday in my portfolio of the tickets that I ordered? Why aren't they there?
Portfolio.
Showing pending. What does that mean?
Oh. Dave says my 8-year-old loves turtles. Should I get her into TMNT with the original cartoon, or do you recommend another starter? No, actually, I think the original cartoon's not a bad place to start.
Pretty safe,
especially with that young. Yeah, with that young. Because I'd say the movie, but maybe that's a little just on the edge of too young.
Well, I mean, I was under 8 when I saw the movie first. That was
true.
That's a different time.
Yeah, I mean, start with I don't know. I mean, because the first movie is a little dark,
but it's also really fun because the music is what makes it really fun.
It helps.
Too. It helps a lot.
Well, yeah, because they actually went through and recut the movie to make it less dark. I don't know if you know that history of the movie. There's a much darker cut of TMNT we've never seen.
Are you talking about lighting or story?
Like both.
Theme.
Probably. Well, theme mostly, but yeah, like stuff that was cut out and yeah. More violence. In fact, Shredder kills somebody.
Did you get this one?
Barbie's True Ending, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's when you had stepped away because we were like 6. What do you got going on?
So I missed the one Barbie super chat?
Yep, you did.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck.
Because I also noticed that we went up by 50 viewers when I took Barbie out of the title.
And then I mentioned it and we went down 20.
We did. No, I'm just kidding. We went down 1. Dave has become a member. Oh my goodness, what level?
Minimum effort puppy.
Oh, Mikey's favorite.
Play it. Let's go. That right there is 100 times the effort Bambino puts in his entire day.
Did you see the other maximum effort puppy that I shared on X or Twix?
Dude, I'm so pissed off about this Twitter X crap. I'm so mad. Don't get me started. I'm so mad. I'm so frustrated.
That thing.
All my links are weird, and then the logo's different. I don't know what window means what now.
Yeah, I couldn't find my bookmark for Twitter because it's a different color. I
so
thought I'd been
pissed off right now.
I mean,
speaking
Elon
of Bambino,
Musk is literally flipping the bird on social media.
Look at that.
Thanks, Dave.
Dave gifted 10 Midnight's Edge After Dark memberships.
Well, for that, I'm going to show this then, for sure. This made me think of it when you said Bambino. Look at this maximum effort puppy right here.
59.5 seconds left to play here in the third. Lakers lead is...
Good dog.
And a spin.
9.5 seconds left to play here in the third.
Yeah, he's a Laker.
What's your excuse, Sadie?
Hold on a second. Bambino, wake up. Come over here right now. Come here. Yeah, you. Sleepy Chihuahua. Come here. Get over here. I got something. Come here, learn some shit. Come here. Wake up. Jesus.
Mikey, the squirrel you rescued did more tricks than Bambino.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, good point. At least the squirrel woke up eventually. All right.
And tried to commit suicide again.
All right, watch the screen, Bambino. Learn some shit.
Oh, I got to bring it back up? Hold on.
Yeah, learn some shit, Bambino.
He's a Bambino. He's a baby. Oh,
You
look
really
how
got
adorable
Bambino
he
on there.
is. Aww.
Beyond.
Oh, yeah. He's a
Okay, I train dogs for decades. It's never the dog. It's always the owner.
Okay, Bambino, watch. Watch some shit. No, focus. Learn some shit.
Okay.
Go.
Let's do it again. There we go. See? Can you do that, Bambino?
He doesn't care.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, Dad, I was napping. All right. He likes that. Yeah. Mega J says the first Barbie movie and now first the Barbie movie, now TMNT movie. Tom's suffering continues. Yeah. Like I even said that to 6 earlier. I'm like, can you hear the depression in my voice or what? Like, just like, I'm not kidding. This feels.
Is there anything coming out next week, Thursday?
Just this week, you mean?
The official release of TMNT?
That is next week, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's nothing coming out this week.
That's just Haunted Mansion. Nobody cares.
Yeah, and you're going to see early TMNT,
on
so the
Saturday. Yeah,
the world or the U.S. nationwide releases next Friday,
Tuesday,
correct?
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Tuesday.
I mean, sorry,
next week anyway. Okay,
Wednesday the 2nd.
So, what's our next movie that comes out that we think might be good?
I don't know. There's not much for us to really talk about. I got a couple I'm looking forward to. Yeah, but that's might get moved.
Good movie or just a movie?
I'm looking forward to Equalizer 3. I'm looking forward to the
Denzel
Murder Mysteries Part 3, the Haunting in Venice movie. Otherwise, yeah, there's not much between now and
Meg 2.
Ghostbusters. Meg 2 does. Yeah, Meg 2 might be all right.
But they ended it with Finn. It's done.
I know. I kind of like the first one all right, but I don't need another one.
Yeah.
But there's more than one Meg in this one. Rip.
Yeah, there are tons of Megs.
Yeah, I was like
that can apparently like hide in shallow water somehow.
Yeah, right. Anyway, Mikey's getting hungry, so we're gonna get the hell out of here. Thank you so much, everybody. Hit that like button. Thank you for the support.
Thank you, Deepak Martin. Just another red shirt. Shanat.
Yes.
Dr. Coffin Nails. Mecca J. Deleted scenes. Thank you, mods. Thank you.
Thank you, 6. For yes, and thank you, mods. Wow,
good night,
don't
John
thank
Boy.
me. Yeah, good night, John Boy. With that, let's get the hell out of here. Check out Flip City Magazine. They are our sponsor. They do great work over there. Hopefully, I'll get some more ads and fun stuff from them that we can show to you guys soon.
You do like a monster truck ad for Flip City,
something like that. I kind of try. Yeah, I kind of got some. I'm kind of come up with like small, shorter ads. And then we're kind of talking about some memes we can come up with. But I told him, like, problem with memes is you never know what's going to take off.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this one clearly...
Excuse me, ma'am. No porn at the bar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm transgender.
Oh, I had